Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Cook, Coram, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill, Holbert, John, Jones, Kagan, Kafalis, Kerr,
Excused.
Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez-Huminick, Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola,
Absent.
Scott. Scott.
Excused.
Smallwood. Sonnenberg. Tate. Todd. Williams. Zinzinger.
Roll.
Mr. President.
Here. 32 ayes, 1 absent, 2 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Williams, will you please come and lead us in the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. President. Members and guests, please join us in reciting the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the journal, Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the Journal of Thursday, February 30th, 2018. Let me correct myself, Mr. President. The reading of the Journal of Thursday, March 1st, 2018, and that it be approved as corrected by our most exalted Secretary of the Senate and her most loyal staff.
Is that a motion approved by Ms. Spear? Is it? Okay. It's the correct one. Okay, it's the correct one. You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Committee reports.
March 1st, 2018, Committee on Finance, after consideration of Mayor's Committee records following Senate Bill 167, be amended as follows as submitted. Be referred to Committee on Appropriations with a favorable recommendation. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Finance, after consideration of Mayor's Committee records following Senate Bill 1, be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. March 1st, 2018, the Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy has had on consideration, had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Colorado Water Resources and Power Development Authority for terms expiring October 1st, 2021, H. Webster Jones of Steamboat, Colorado, to serve as representative of the Yampa-White Drainage Basin and Planning and Development reappointment. Roy Ellsworth Heald of Colorado Springs, Colorado, to serve as representative of the Arkansas Drainage Basin, reappointed. March 1st, 2018, the Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy has had on consideration, had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the State Agricultural Commission for a term expiring March 1st, 2019, Rebecca Lynn Larson of Longmont, Colorado, and unaffiliated from the 2nd Agricultural District, to serve as a member from the state at large on occasion by the resignation of Susan K. Petrocco of Brighton, Colorado, appointed for terms expiring March 1st, 2021. Marty Jo Jarasso of Golden, Colorado, a Republican from the 1st Agricultural District, to serve as a member from the state at large, appointed. Brett Brand Rutledge of Yuma, Colorado, a Democrat from the 2nd Agricultural District, reappointed. Steve Dale Young of Holyoke, Colorado, a Republican from the 2nd Agricultural District, to serve as a member of the state at large, reappointed. Michael Conrad Hirokata of La Junta, Colorado, a Republican from the 3rd Agricultural District, to serve as a member from the state at large, reappointed. March 1st, 2018, the Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources has had on consideration, had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the State Board of Stock Inspection Commissioners for a term expiring May 1st, 2021, Daniel Patrick McCarthy of Colorado, to serve as representative of the non-confinement cattle industry, reappointed. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy has had on consideration, had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the Energy Impact Assistance Advisory Committee for a term expiring August 24th, 2021, Kelly Eugene Arnold of Windsor, Colorado, reappointed. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy. After consideration of Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1183 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy. After consideration of Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1073 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy. After consideration of Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1051 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Education. After consideration of Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1005 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Education. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1052 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation placed on the consent calendar. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Education. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1095 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation. March 1st, 2018, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee records following House Bill 1032 be referred to Committee of the Whole. If favorable recommendation.
Mr. Carpenter, please mark Senator Priola as excused. Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 184, Senate General Resolution 7 correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 68, 74, 146, and 173 correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 62 correctly revised, House Bill 1028, 1086, 1087, 1096, 1100, 1101, 1140 correctly enrolled, Senate General Resolution 6.
Introduction of bills.
House Bill 1158 by Representative Hamner and Senator Lambert concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Corrections.
Appropriations. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over the third reading of bills consent calendar until Monday, March 5th.
Motion is to lay over the third reading of bills consent calendar until Monday, March 5th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that will lay over. Third reading of bills calendar. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over the third reading of bills calendar until Monday, March 5th.
Motion is to lay over the third reading of bills calendar till Monday, March 5th. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that will lay over. Second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of consideration of general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar.
The motion before the Senate is to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Neville will take the chair.
Committee will come to order. Code rules relaxed. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of all the bills in the general order second reading of bills consent calendar.
Senate Bill 174 by Senator Gardner concerning liability of entities that provide services to persons with developmental disabilities in residential settings.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the one bill on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. Senate Bill 174. There is no committee report.
Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 174? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 174. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 174 is adopted. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had one bill under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the report?
Mr. President, your Committee of the Whole by its lead reports had on consideration the following task bills being the second reading thereof, makes the following recommendations are on Senate Bill 174 passes second read order and gross place on the calendar for the reading and final passage.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion before the body is the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, with 32 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 3 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 174 passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order second reading of bills. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for purpose of general orders, second reading of bills.
Motion before the Senate is for the body to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order second reading of bills calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders second reading of bills calendar. Senator Neville will take the chair.
Committee will come to order. The court rule is still relaxed. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 179?
Senate Bill 179 by Senators Hill and Williams and Representatives Hooton and Pabon concerning the extension of the credit for tobacco products that a distributor ships or transports to an out-of-state consumer.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 179. There is no committee report.
Thank you, Senator. To the bill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, we've heard this a couple of times before. Really what we're doing here is the unique way that Coloradans put in Amendment 35 in Colorado requires us to tax these products up front. And then if they get shipped out of state, you never get that money back. So you taxed up front when it comes into inventory as well as taxed when you pay to send it to another state. All we're doing here, we passed this bill a couple of years ago that said you get a refund of that money where you're taxed up front if it goes out of state. It doesn't affect Colorado business. And as a result, we had a couple of Colorado businesses move back into state. They're employing several dozen people here in Colorado. Because we were able to now ship out of state on this. There was a sunset put on a couple of years ago. All we are doing is removing that sunset for a program that has been successful, hasn't cost the state a penny, but has actually brought in significant state revenues, taxes, and jobs.
There is an amendment on the desk. Senator Williams, I'm sorry, Mr. Carpenter, would you please read Amendment L002?
Amendment L002, Senate Bill 179 by Senator Williams. Amendment for the bill, page 2, after line 5, insert section 2 in Colorado Revised Statutes 3928.5.
Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move L002 to Senate Bill 179.
To the amendment, Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, basically what this amendment does is we realize there was a gap in the way that the credit was added to the statute and the requirements for vendors to do some record keeping. So basically, this will require those vendors to keep the invoices and sales. I think that this will add transparency in any time that there may be audits, and I ask you for an aye vote.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this is it's a helpful bill. We've worked with both the department as well as those businesses affected by this, and this is actually an improvement in public policy, making it very clear where the liability lies for record keeping. Ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on L002? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L002 to Senate Bill 179. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 002 is adopted. Senator Hill to the bill. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 179? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 179. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion before the body is for the committee to rise and report. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had one bill under consideration. Will Mr. Carpenter please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee will hold the lead report is out on consideration of the following tax bills being second reading thereof. Makes the following recommendations to run Senate Bill 179 as amended, pass second reader and gross place on counter for their reading and final passage.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion before the body is for the adoption of the report to the committee of the whole. Are there any no votes? With 32 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 3 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 179 is amended, passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of Senate Joint Resolution 18-007?
Senate Joint Resolution 7 by Senators Zenzinger and Lambert and Representatives Carver and Pedersen concerning the designation of March 2nd, 2018 as National Speech and Debate Education Day in Colorado.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Resolution 7 and ask that it be read at length.
Mr. Carpenter, would you please read Senate Joint Resolution 7 at length?
Senate Joint Resolution 7 by Senators Zenzinger and Lambert and Representatives Carver and Pedersen concerning the designation of March 2nd, 2018 as National Speech and Debate Education Day in Colorado. Whereas National Speech and Debate Education Day is celebrated on March 2nd, 2018, and whereas established by the National Speech and Debate Association in conjunction with national and local partners, this event serves to promote better instruction in speech and debate across all grade levels and to highlight the pivotal roles those abilities play in personal advocacy, social movements, and public policy making. And whereas speech and debate education helps students develop important skills in communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration through the practice of public speaking. Participants learn not only to analyze and express complex ideas effectively, but also to listen, concur, question, or dissent with reason and compassion. And whereas, across the country, countless educators devote in-school, after-school, and weekend time to supporting their students in speech and debate practices and competitions, and the example of hard work and dedication they set has a lasting, positive impact on their pupils. And whereas, the skills learned through speech and debate serve students well throughout their lives, and this occasion presents a welcome opportunity to recognize such instruction as an essential component of a well-rounded curriculum. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the General Assembly, hereby designate March 2nd, 2018 as National Speech and Debate Education Day in Colorado. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to the National Speech and Debate Association.
Senator Zinzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, you may be seated. This resolution came to me as a request of a speech and debate coach in Colorado Springs. She sent me an email and said that I'm a teacher and speech debate coach at Air Academy High School in Colorado Springs. I had the privilege of working with your mom many times at various tournaments. My mother is a speech and debate coach in Montrose. Especially the Colorado Grand National Qualifying Tournament before Montrose and other Western Slope schools formed their own National Speech and Debate Association district. I'm sure that I don't need to tell you this activity transforms students from building confidence and improving communication, increasing critical thinking skills, to better preparing students for college, speech, and debate activities, and providing life skills that are vital to a young person's success in the future. I'm hoping that you will help me get a state resolution passed acknowledging today as March 2nd as the National Speech and Debate Education Day. Now, the United States Senate, our Congress, will also be passing a resolution today marking March 2nd as National Speech and Debate Education Day. And last year, the National Speech and Debate Association worked with over 25 states across the country to get state resolutions passed. And so today, on March 2nd, I'm very pleased to be able to present this resolution. Coaches, teachers, students, parents, and administrators across the country will be celebrating the life-changing power of speech and debate. And with that, Mr. President, I ask for an aye vote, unless my co-sponsor would like to add to that.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President, and obviously I'm not as loquacious as my senatorial colleague from Arvada, who I believe is a national winner in forensics and interpretation. And so despite all of my problems with speech, it is something that I have grown up around. My mother actually got a scholarship to Stanford University in the 1930s in one of the very, very first speech therapy programs in the country, or perhaps in the world. And if you've ever seen the great movie, The King's Speech, where the King of England, who had very severe speech defects right at the start of World War II, and had an Australian mentor who, just by trial and error, after working with hundreds of disabled veterans from World War II who were traumatized and had to have that type of speech therapy, he was able to teach and coach the King of England to play his role as the uniter of the free world against the Nazis. And although there's a little bad language in that movie, I got the DVD from my mother and I sat her down and she was very, very interested in it because she said, that's exactly what we were doing in the 1930s. That is the way the science was. You would get some marbles, hopefully clean them off, and put the marbles in your mouth, like the famous Greek Demosthenes would teach his students to be precise in your speech. There are many other things of trying to, you've probably heard of Mel Tillis, the country singer, who was a severe stutterer, but found out you can't stutter when you're singing. It's just a physiological event. So there are pathologies, and then there are therapies for those pathologies that come into the science of speech therapy. My mother then started, actually she did not finish that degree at Stanford. She decided instead to go into, to get a master's in art in the Oakland area of California. But that stuck with her for many, many years in community colleges in California. She taught English, and especially voice and diction, and English for English language learners, international students. And you really have to be able to have that command of the English and have a strategy and some tactics to be able to be successful and confident. And I remember listening to hours and hours. At that time, there was a little, they didn't have cassette tapes, and they didn't have reel-to-reel tapes even at that time. They didn't have digital microphones on your phone or anything like that. But they did have a little 45 RPM record machine where you could actually put the mic in front of the student and they could recite their prepared speech, and would have to recite that on the little 45 record that they'd make right on the spot, and then have to play it back. That was the level of technology where voice and diction and speech really advanced. Later on, when I came to Colorado Springs, I'm very proud of my brother-in-law, David Simpich, who went to Coronado High School and went to, I think, the National Forensics Championships in interpretation, also like the senator from Arvada. And it's quite a competition. I have had the chance to judge some competitions, even with homeschooler groups, and I'll tell you, there are no more competitive students than those who are preparing for debate or for their interpretive messages, and this really focuses their thoughts and their minds on topics. It's a great discipline, and I would ask for your aye vote on Resolution 7.
Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too rise in support of Senate Joint Resolution 7. I've had the pleasure of having a high school student be an intern for the past 2 years, and he is in the Cherry Creek School District, and they have a very active debate program there, and he has been out at competing both years, and he just got back at a tournament, a debate tournament, I guess is what they called, in Berkeley, and this year he took second, and last year his team did very well as well. So I really do support this. The young people who are engaged in debate and in speeches, you may be the future leaders, you may be the future people sitting in here, and what you see us do at the well every day regarding bills is oftentimes lively debate. So I rise in support of this, and so I'm very glad for any of the students who are in here today, sitting around the chamber. Congratulations on being a part of the debate teams or the individual debate that you do. And I look forward to hearing that more of our schools actually are able to allow their students to participate in debate, because not all schools get to do that, but it is something that is critical, and I think it teaches you some real life skills.
Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I too rise in support of this resolution. I think it's incredibly important for students to have these opportunities, and I had those opportunities when I was in high school. It might not be obvious that I did take speech and debate, also theater, and I think I was better at theater than speech and debate. But the way I passed speech and debate, by the way, I should probably admit, was my father was a Baptist preacher. So we had the finals speech contest in Wyoming was held in Casper, and the teacher gave us extra credit, 100 points per judge, if we could recruit judges for the contest. And my dad was a preacher, that was one, and he pulled in 4 of his other pastors. So I got 500 points extra credit and passed the speech and debate. As you can tell, it really stuck with me. But I do want to thank the sponsors for bringing this, and it's obvious from our sponsors that they had some skills that they picked up while they had that opportunity for training. So thank you for bringing this, and I will, of course, be supporting it.
Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues, for bringing this resolution. I was raised in a family that thought it was our sacred duty to discuss, debate, argue at the dinner table. And I learned a very important lesson during those discussions. My brother felt that lemon meringue pie was the best pie. I felt that pumpkin pie was the best pie. And we would discuss vociferously as to which pie was the preferable pie, because of course we were discussing which kind of pie our mother should make for a given holiday. And as we would discuss this, my father would say, "You're both right." And my brother and I would look at our father and say, "How can we both be right?" And he said, "Because for you, you're right, and for you, you're right." I think that's something we all need to remember as we debate issues in this body. We all represent different constituencies, we all have different belief systems, and sometimes each one of us is right in our own way. And this is something that is a really important lesson when we are debating. I think all of us want to believe that if we give the best argument, we'll convince everyone else. My brother never convinced me that lemon meringue pie was the best. Just warning you. Thank you.
Senator Court, those comments are out of order. It's an incontrovertible fact that pecan pie is the best pie. Senator Zenzinger.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I would like to also be recorded as a yes vote for pecan pie. So we would like to renew our motion for passage and adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 7 and ask for an aye vote.
Any further comment on Senate Joint Resolution 7? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 7. Are there any no votes? With 32 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 3 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 7 is adopted. Senator Zenzinger.
Yes, I request that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Without objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Signing of bills.
The President has signed Senate Bill 124 and 148. The President has signed House Bill 1041.
Delivered to the Governor.
To the Governor for signature on Friday, March 2nd, 2018 at 8:40 a.m. Senate Bill 50, 105, 124, and 148.
Appointment of the Senate Select Committee.
February 28, 2018, Mr. Mike Maurer. Dear Mr. Maurer, pursuant to Senate Rule 22C, I hereby create a 5-member Select Committee on Energy and the Environment. I hereby appoint the following senators: Senator Ray Scott, Chair; Senator John Cook, Vice Chair; Senator Kevin Priola. Pursuant to Senate Rule 22C, the Minority Leader of the Senate shall appoint 2 members no later than March 15, 2018. The Select Committee will hold at least 3 public hearings. The Chair shall be responsible for establishing the agenda and the schedule for any meeting of the Select Committee. The purpose of the Select Committee on Energy and Environment is to hold hearings on a wide range of energy and environmental issues facing Colorado, including supporting energy jobs and revenues while also protecting the natural places that make Colorado special, the changing regulatory landscape, and pursuing an all-of-the-above approach to energy development in Colorado. Sincerely, Kevin J. Grantham, Senate President, Colorado Senate.
Announcements. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Lemon Meringue Pie Support Group will be meeting in room 351.
Yes.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wish to extend a hearty welcome to the Independent Higher Education of Colorado affiliates that are here today for their day at the Capitol. We have students and faculty joining us from Colorado College, Denver University, and my alma mater and my speech team, Regis University. And they are here observing today, and I just wish to welcome them and thank them for being here.
And welcome to the Senate today. Thank you for being here today. Any other announcements? Senator Quorum?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I wanted to commend you for wearing red today. As many of you know that I served in the House with, Friday was always Red Day. I was asked by a group of Marines in Afghanistan to wear red on Fridays to remember them. I'm also honored that the good senator from Sterling, his cat in the hat tie qualifies for this, but thank you. But I would like to take the honor to introduce some folks from my district that the farthest corner of Colorado, southwest Colorado. I have superintendent of schools for Dolores Scott Cooper, and Vanessa Fisher from Florida Mesa Elementary. She's a principal there. And these people are real leaders in southwest Colorado. They have brought many awards to the community, not only individual state champions, but championships teams to that district. And thank you so much for traveling that over 300 miles to be here. It's something that we do in rural Colorado on a regular basis. And for those that are your home in 45 minutes after we adjourn here, I don't like you. Thank you.
Senator Marble.
Just one more reminder, thank you, Mr. President, that State Veterans and Military Affairs will not be meeting on Monday afternoon. We combined everything for Wednesday, so thank you.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce someone in my life that's very special and has accompanied me down here today, my son Matthew. If you'd please stand, if you'd welcome him to the chamber. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I will take the opportunity from here to introduce some special guests of mine today. A great group of student leaders and staff and school board members and the administrator from Canyon City High School. If you all would please stand. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn until 10. Actually, Mr. President, I don't move anything right now. I'll just withdraw that motion so that our good friend from Arapahoe County might have the opportunity to offer an announcement.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President.
There we go.
So it brings me great honor to welcome to the chamber my good friend and leader of Council of State Governments West region, director from Sacramento, California, Edgar Ruiz, who is with us. And I know many of you have participated in the Western Leadership Academy and our Toll Fellows, and we are very pleased to have you in our presence today. So join me in welcoming.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn until 10 a.m. Monday, March 5th.
Motion is for the Senate to adjourn until 10 a.m. March 5th. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will be adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday, February 35th, March 5th.